Hello and welcome. My name is Paul Hillier, speaking here on behalf of Chamber Choir Ireland to tell you a little bit about the third in our program series of music devoted to Bach's motets and spreading out from that point in each program, but in different ways, to other pieces from the Baroque, but also much earlier, and also right up to the present day. In this particular concert, we're going to perform two Bach motets. One of them, I think, very well known, Lobet den Herrn. It's perhaps the shortest of the 6 well-known motets, and scored just for 4 voices, whereas most of the others are scored for a double choir. However, it's a very lively piece and a very good piece. I suppose one says that about almost anything that Bach has written, but it is a fine piece. And so is, of course, is the other one, less well-known, Komm, Jesu, komm, one of the more relaxed and intimate motets on the whole. It's a steady tempo rather than a fast tempo, and it has a lot of music in triple time, slow, moderately slow triple time. It's a motet I'm very fond of. Also in this program, we're doing a couple of other pieces by Bach that were not really written for voices, or at least not just for voices. I'm taking a leaf out of the book of Ward Swingle, who created the Swingle Singers back in the 60s. We're not going to do as he does and have a beat and that kind of thing, but we are going to vocalize, for example, one of the fugues that Bach wrote, a very beautiful piece, just with voices. And then we're going to sing a version of music from Cantata 140, the first Bach cantata I ever heard, Sleeper's Wake, Wachet auf. And then woven amongst this Bach music are 3 really quite different from each other motets. The first one is a piece by Anne Boyd, who's an Australian composer, and I heard the first performance of this piece in the Wigmore Hall many decades ago, late 1970s, I think it was, and I was very taken by the piece when I heard it. It's written for 12 voices, 12 solo voices actually, who are divided into 3 quartets, and those quartets can be slightly separated. And the words, syllables anyway, are Japanese or pseudo-Japanese. And the whole thing is based on the story of a woman who wrote, we don't know her name, but she wrote a very beautiful book about her life, its sadnesses, but also its joys. And she had several dreams of the Buddha, and the names of the Buddha are incorporated into the music. That's the idea of the piece. The important thing, of course, is that the music is very lovely, and I think quite unlike any other piece of music that I know. That's why I continue to perform it. Then we do a fairly recent composition by Julia Wolfe, who is a New York City composer, member of a group called Bang on a Can. That's a group of 3 composers, David Lang, Michael Gordon, and Julia Wolfe. And I performed music by all 3 of them. This particular piece is a setting of just a few words from Psalm 34. The words are, "Guard my tongue from evil and my lips from speaking deceit." But although this is a psalm, and therefore we automatically connect it with the Christian church, in fact, Julia is Jewish, and for her, it is part of the Judaic tradition. So this piece too actually comes from outside the Christian tradition. The third piece is a European work by a composer called Santa Ratniece. She lives in Latvia, And unlike the other two composers, I've not met her. We have communicated by email. And I heard some of her music a year or two ago, was very fascinated by it, and decided that this piece, which is called Horo Horo Hata Hata, and I have no idea if that's the correct pronunciation or not. Anyway, that's the piece I decided to put into this program. Like Anne Boyd's piece, it also is written for 12 solo voices, or 12 single voices. So again, we have a pagan, certainly a non-Christian spiritual world. It's one that lies outside what we're used to in music that we call motets. The composers haven't called these pieces motets. I do, because I like to relate it to the other pieces that we are presenting in this series. But I'm particularly glad to be presenting these three pieces, which have a kind of distant origin, each in their own individual way. Thank you.